gotta be the flat earthers doing this. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy against PlayStation 5 repairs. Hello friends, welcome back to the bench. Our patient today is this beautiful PlayStation 5 with this issue. Very common on PlayStations. So, we shall replace the HDMI port, a procedure you must have seen many times before. So, while performing this, and it looks like we're gonna have to clean it a little bit, which is fine. So while performing that procedure, how about we talk about something triggering? As always, I don't remember what kind of screws these are. It's been a while since I did the PS5. And last time I actually forgot this one. I still have it. I forgot to reattach it. Also, actually, in the last one, you've seen, because I didn't do the update afterwards, but after the replacement, it wouldn't turn on, and then I disassembled it again. I did the inspection. It looked okay, but I touched it with the multimeter, and there was a short on data pins. That's why it didn't work. So I had to replace the port again, and that worked. So let's not make that mistake now. Okay, so this is the size, but why does it look different? For some reason it looks different to me. Anyways, let's try not to mess this up, but if we do, that's fine. I have a whole pile of these HDMI ports, because I had a, does it work? Because I had few jobs for the replacement, so I ordered a lot of ports, and then the business died. So this is the first PS5 repair in quite a while now. Anyways, so are you guys familiar with the concept of flat earth? Very interesting thing. Very interesting thing, because there are many people all around the globe that believe that the earth is flat, and they have specific reasons to believe so. So let's go over them, and perhaps we'll be able to pinpoint why is there such a movement as flat earth, because at this point it kind of feels like it's a movement, like a political party almost. And I'm pretty sure I know why. Why can I not? Hang on, I need a flashlight. Hang on, let me just check this out, because something's not right here. This one is off. Was it only these two screws? I really can't remember. Alrighty, that's why. That was the reason. Let's get the... See, I haven't done it in a while and I completely forgot how to open it. But it just came back to me. These are the screws that are holding the other side. Okay. That was the problem. Okay, this is our side that I was looking for. Alrighty. Whew. Now it makes more sense, because I was looking at the this element here and I could have sworn it was screwed on. And yeah, it is on the other side. So I actually didn't need to remove this element here, so let's just replace it. And there. This one needs to be removed. Like so. And that's where the screws are. Alright, well, I got a little rusty, I guess. Okay, so the shape of our planet. The shape of our planet. Do you know where that comes from? Or what is the problem with our education system? Actually, it's not really a problem, but where it comes from is the simplification, right? We are at this stage of evolution of science that it would take you a lifetime to learn everything there is about even one area of discipline, the scientific discipline. So oftentimes we just use simplifications to just kind of give you a gist. This is roughly how it works. This is roughly what it is. All right? But there's a downside of that. When I was a kid, growing up in Poland, this hasn't been opened yet. Our education system was different a little bit back then. The primary school would consist of 8 grades. So you go from 1 to 8. And roughly around grade number 4, you start learning more advanced stuff. So grade 1 through 3, well, you just learn to write, you learn to read, that kind of stuff. Then when you progress to grade number 4, you get more subjects, and one of those subjects is physics. And that happened to be my favorite subject. So before I even reached grade number 4, I was already pretty much ready to pass the exam. So pretty much everything that for the first grade, pretty much everything that the teacher was teaching us, I already knew. I was already familiar with, because grade number 4, the physics was all around observation and very simple concepts. Freezing, evaporating, boiling, the metal expanding. Everything fully observable. And in grade 4, I learned that the gravitational constant, which determines how fast the body will accelerate when in free fall, is 10 meters per second squared. Now, that was the well, that's what they taught us, right? And of course you know that it's not, because after a while, once I progressed to higher levels of education, the correct answer was that the gravitational constant is 9.81. Right? And that threw me off a lot, because why did they tell us that the gravitational constant is 10, even 10? Because it's approximation, and the only possible reason for that is to simplify equations, right? Instead of using 9.81, then let's say we're estimating, so let's use 10. That makes it very easy to use in equations, and calculations are a lot easier that way. Makes sense, but in 4th grade, you don't do calculations. I mean, maybe some simple some simple calculations, maybe you do. I don't remember much, but the majority of physics in 4th grade were just around the observation experiments. Very simple stuff. So I have no idea what the reason was to use that approximation, but the downside of it was that in my mind already it made such a great sense, like, you know, the God is a mathematician because it's even 10, that kind of stuff. Based on that, I devised, you know, theories in my head around, I don't know, around that being 10, not 9, not 11, but even 10. And everything was wrong. I was wrong because of that. I don't think this screw needs to go, right? And likewise, everything that we want to teach to others, which are complex subjects, we find analogies and we find simplifications. Just to give you a gist, right? So you know roughly how it works. But then if you take those simplifications and you try to scale them up or match them to observations exactly, you notice that, you know, it doesn't work exactly like that. And I can give you a very simple one. This would be maybe 4th grade question. You have a train. On board of the train, there is, say, a dog running in the same direction as the train is going. The train is going 10 miles an hour, and the dog is running 5 miles an hour in relative to the train. And train moving 10 miles an hour relative to the trucks or the terrain around it. So what is the speed of the dog that is running on the train in relation to the ground, in relation to the tracks? And if you answer 15, because you added 10 to 5, that is perfectly acceptable answer at school. But we know that's not the correct answer, right? It's just not so relevant in practice to actually use Einstein's equations. Instead, we use Newtonian equations, And we come up with 15, and 15 is roughly correct. It's not perfectly correct, because it's more complicated in reality. But we just kind of ignore that, because what purpose would it be to be this accurate, right? It matters in astronomy, right? In the when you actually want to do some calculations that would explain the positions of the planets and stuff like that. Oh, that's what I forgot here. The security screw. I knew I was forgetting something. So for that reason, when you now take those Newtonian equations and you try to apply it to the large bodies in the space, you see that they don't match, right? The observation doesn't match what you expected. So is the equation wrong? Well, again, it depends how accurate you want to get, right? You don't need that much accuracy on everyday life, right? But the downside of this is oh, there you go. Okay, sorry. All right. Yeah, with PlayStation 5, it's a lot of screws. So yeah, I'm gonna be using the electric drill to get all those off. So how does that fall in place with the shape of our planet? I wish I could tell you what exactly flat earthers believe, but I don't think even they know. But they make a very good point, just kind of questioning stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with questioning stuff. In fact, it's admirable. That's how we learn. That's how science works. That's how we progress. We don't just take stuff for granted and believe everything. We check and we verify, and we stay suspicious. Or by suspicious, I mean we just go where evidence leads, no matter where it leads. And often, especially work that we do, say you're working on a theory, and you really want it to work, and you devised a beautiful theory, but somewhere in the very beginning you made one tiny mistake which led you to the variety of incorrect conclusions, because you were basing that on the previous conclusions, and one of the initial ones had an error in it, and the whole theory goes in the trash. But of course you don't want it to go to the trash, because you already invested a lot of time and effort into it. So you likely prefer to just kind of, bless you, you prefer to just kind of bury the evidence, or cherry pick evidence that confirms your theory, and bury the evidence that does not. right? Not exactly ethical, but you know, we all do it. That is natural. We're only human. One of the recent victims, or actually not even recent victims, because he wrote it a long time ago, but recently one of the new victims falling to that is Terrence Howard. 1 times 1 equals not 1. Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remember that one. Personally, I heard of flat Earth. When was it? About a decade, maybe a little more than a decade ago. When I did, because that was before YouTube kind of cracked down on that, and you know, started suppressing that content, because you know what YouTube wants you to do is just keep watching. We don't care what you watch. We just want you to be glued to the screen and watch our ads. Which is understandable, right? It's business. What are you gonna do? But finally they did something. I think that was because of the pressure of the Congress, was it? I think they were testifying in front of the Congress. Because, you know, don't censor the content like that, but on the other hand, don't promote content like that. It makes sense to me. But that was before, so once you watched the single flat Earth video, you were bombarded with that content. Now, when you watch one debunking video, you are bombarded with the debunking videos, right? For the same reason. But when I first heard of flat Earth and seen the first video, I approached it well, as a scientist would. You know, I didn't dismiss it immediately. To the contrary, I figured, well, they're making a good point. Because if the Earth was flat, how would I know? How could I attest to that myself? Likewise, if the Earth is a globe, how do I know? How would it look like, or how would it look, or what would it look like if it was flat and versus if it was a globe? So I started thinking, right? What can I do to just kind of understand it for myself, to just kind of prove it to myself that it's one way or the other. Okay. And the Flutter videos are kind of compelling because I don't want to say convincing, but somewhere in that region, convincing, because they just kind of refute the cherry-picked concepts, cherry-picked evidence, and indeed we're going back to the phenomena where simplification for the sake of understanding more complex problems works against you here, because if you put that simplification to the test, it doesn't make well, it doesn't stand, right? Which is to be expected. That's why it's called simplification. So when you watch those videos, it might seem like, hey, hang on, yeah, there's something to it. So how about we take on few of the arguments made by flat earthers and try to understand, because my primary goal in watching conspiracy videos, especially around flat earth, is I want to understand why do you have these views? How were you convinced that the Earth, the shape of the Earth, is not what, as commonly referred to, science says? That's a misconception number one. Science doesn't say anything. Okay, it's not indoctrination. No matter how much do you want it to be, that's not what science is. But teaching kids that the acceleration is 10 meters per second squared does not help. It does not help our case, unfortunately. You can understand, right, why there are people that are, kind of confused about that, and that's, the acceleration is just one of many instances of that, that you can find. That you were told something for the sake of simplifying it, and then you were told that that answer was correct in 4th grade, but in 6th grade the answer is different. Well, then why didn't you tell me the right answer right from the start? Right? It's a good point. It's a valid point, and I don't know myself either. Okay, does this hold? No, it doesn't. Okay. Alright, I don't remember. Do I have to remove these? I think I do. So Number one issue with pretty much all flat earthers, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to come down on you, or I don't mean to criticize you if you happen to be a flat earther, but if you are a flat earther, your primary issue is that you cannot do math. And don't get me wrong, I can't either. I can't do math either. Bless you. We're gonna have a sneezing baby here. Okay, we don't need to remove oh, what happened here? Oh, I see what happened here. Oh, yeah. That's kind of important cable, because without this cable, you won't be able to turn on the device. So if that rips, and I don't have these in stock, that would mean a few day delay, because I would have to order the cable and replace it. There you go. We don't need to remove the power supply, but we did. There. Okay, power supply can just stay here. Alrighty. Okay, that should be good. Liquid metal. Alrighty. Now for the best part. Or the actual repair. Because the majority of the time you spend here is just opening the device and closing it back. I get sweaty all because my fan is not going.
I'm sweating.
Alrighty. Oh, that's better. So, now, why is not being able to do math a problem? It's a significant problem because that's how we test whether something is true or false. And actually, perhaps we don't, with math, we can't necessarily say that something is true, but we can say whether it's false, right? If it doesn't make mathematical sense, if it breaks the mathematics, it's false, right? If it doesn't break mathematics, it could be true, right? It could be correct, but at that stage you need to make a prediction and use your model to predict something and then verify that the prediction was accurate, right? That's how it works. So although math might not be able to tell you that this is correct, it will tell you if it's not. So it's a very valuable tool to have in your toolbox if you do want to challenge theories. And a lot of us are not capable of doing that. Recently, I'm actually going to make a video on that, but recently I struggled with understanding why FF in the hexadecimal system interpreted as signed integer is -1, not -127, right? Because I would expect it to be -127. But, and I read the Wikipedia page on it, and there's a big, equation that, in terms of mathematics, explains why it's that. But since I can't do math, not at that level, I couldn't get it. And finally, I got it because I approached it from the position of the problem. Like, what problem are we solving? And that is actually not something that was explained in the Wikipedia page. If you just use the first or the last, however you want to look at it, but the most significant bit of 8-bit sequence you use as a sign character, or the sign symbol. So if it's 1, it's a negative number. If it's 0, it's a positive number. All right? But then, if you do that and just leave the rest, the remaining 7 bits to represent the number, then you come up with -0, right? If it's 1 and 7 zeros, that's -0, which means you have 2 combinations that describe 0, right? Which means instead of having 256 combinations, you have 255 combinations, because 2 of them represent the same number, which is 0. That's why, and as I started approaching the problem from this position, like, how do I avoid having the -0, that's when it clicked. That's when I understood it, like, that is the reason why this is so confusing. And it takes time. It takes time to understand stuff. That's why we use analogies. That's why we use simplifications. Nothing wrong with that. But you do have to be aware that these are simplifications. Now, with Terence Howard's theory, because he wants to basically redefine mathematics, and you're not going to be successful redefining mathematics because you use mathematics to you need mathematics, okay? They need to be universal, and it took the humanity many years, centuries, to define all that to the point where we are right now. And that is the problem number 2, that you are in the position where you're standing on the shoulders of all those scientists before you that did the hard work to give you the tools to solve much more complex problems. Because back in the day, and by back in the day I mean, you know, hundreds, thousands of years ago, the problems we had was like, how do I determine when something is going straight up? I want to build a building. How do I level the building? How do I keep it straight? Right? So mathematics comes in as a solution, and there's what was it called? The triangle. What was it called? I can't remember. But if you draw a triangle that has, what was it, 3, 4, and 5 lengths of the, and you can use whatever unit you want. But if you draw a triangle like that, the angle will be the right angle. Right? Amazing. Then the whole trigonometry, like the number pi. How was the number pi calculated? There's actually 2 ways. One was made by Archimedes, and that was the way of kind of going from the square, just dividing each side by 2 again and again and again, and you end up with a good approximation of the circle, right? So that was one way to calculate pi, and of course mathematical way. But even oftentimes nowadays, actually you can do that experiment yourself. Ask anyone you want, especially a kid, what is pi? What is it for? What purpose does it serve? And often people don't know that, and they need to, like last time I asked that question, the guy said, well, I would have to write it, I would have to draw it on the board and do the equations and calculations and stuff to explain that. And kind of, you could, you most definitely could, but the purpose of pi is very simple. It's a relation between the one length and the circumference. The what is it called? The circumference and r times 2. The radius times 2. If you multiply radius times 2 by pi, you come up with the circumference of the circle. Not much more to it. Simple as that. But that understanding, that law, allows you to take it a lot further and use it for a lot of other stuff. It's very useful knowledge. What is the problem with this solder here? Okay, this should be easier now. It's already been 15 minutes and I haven't even removed the port yet. Yeah, I'm gonna have to raise the price on this repair. It's really not worth it. Alrighty. So what was my general point here? Is the earth flat? No, it's not. How do I know? Excellent question. A long time ago, someone asked the same question, and also with a suspicion that the earth is probably not flat. So the experiment was performed measuring the length of the shade being cast on the same day, same time of the day, in two different places, further up north and further down south. And the whole reason for that experiment to even be conceived was because someone, the scientist, before the word scientist even existed, looked into the well, and the sun was directly on top of the well, so you could see the bottom of the well. And if you can see the bottom of the well, because the sun is going, because it's illuminated all the way through, that means that the sun is directly above the well. Observation. Usually that's what science is, just observation. Then you draw a conclusion from observation, you form a hypothesis, you make a prediction, and you verify the prediction, right? But that was the question. Like, if the sun is directly above the well here, and the earth is not flat, that means at the very same time of the day, in different place, further up north, the well will not be illuminated. At the very same time of the day. But furthermore, that's where prediction comes in. If that be the case, if the well further up north does not experience the bottom is not illuminated, while the bottom of the other well over there is illuminated, if we, instead of the well, we use a stick sticking up very straight, right? If we use a stick of the same length and put them apart, they will cast different shadows, different length of the shadow. Is this there? And if that be the case, then from the difference between the length of the shadows, or the shade, or the shadow, from the length of those, the difference in length, we can theoretically calculate the size of the earth, right? Or thinking of it as a circle, what would be the diameter of that circle? And using just that, just sticks and measuring distance, the scientists managed to come up with a very good approximation of the size of the Earth. Not only the shape, but also the size. Nowadays, with internet and instant communication and stuff like that, you can perform this experiment yourself very easy. Extremely easily. And see it even real time. Also the distance between you and the friend you would conduct this experiment with. You can have the accurate distance between you and the friend. And by the way, how do you measure the distance between 2 points on Earth? On the planet. Alright? If you're a software engineer and you were ever tasked with that task, if you ever had to calculate the distance between two GPS coordinates, you are fully aware that what you need to use is a diameter of the Earth. Or was it radius? I don't remember. But you have to know the size of the Earth. Then we're kind of approximating here, because the Earth is not perfect sphere, obviously, and the surface of the Earth is not perfect sphere either. Right? We have valleys and hills and mountains and stuff. Right? But to calculate the distance, you have to use the diameter. Now, if you want to refute that, be my guest and use your brain to come up with a different calculation, different equation that would, number one, produce the verifiable numbers. So it would produce the same numbers that we produce using the sphere as a shape of the planet. And does not use, that uses the flat surface as an assumed shape. And using the GPS coordinates, you can come up with the correct distances, because that's the main problem of the flat Earth model, if you can even call it that. No, not really. You shouldn't really be calling it flat Earth model, because it's not a model. It's an image, imagined image, representation of an idea, not representation of the observations. Okay, that took a long time, gentlemen. Way too long. But now we can finally remove the HDMI port. And this time, let's not lose our capacitor. Yeah, this one over here. We don't want to lose that guy. This is 220 nano. So if I do lose it, I have replacement. Or at least I should have replacement. I'm not sure about the size. I do have 220. Not sure about the size. But before we do that, we need to remove the nozzle. Alrighty. Now, have you guys ever seen the Flurf debates? Those are pretty interesting, but not for the sake of debates. Because it's not exactly debatable, right? We're talking about reality. So we have tools to confirm, to find out and confirm what reality is. It's not really open to debate. Like, I think this is this, you think this is this. You know, yeah, let's get together and figure out the way how we can find out who's right. Right? That would be constructive. But just debating, and usually those debates just kind of revolve around flat earthers kind of refuting theories and coming out with their own theories, like refuting the gravity. The solder doesn't want to listen to me today. This is likely going to be the most boring video I have ever produced. But hey, if I gotta do it, you guys are in it with me. At least you guys can hit the pause or just switch over to another video and be done. I have to finish this. Can you believe it? It just won't clean. It won't get cleaned. This is what we call a tough case. Did they start using different solder or something? I don't remember it being this difficult. It's gotta be the flat earthers doing this. It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy against the PlayStation 5 repairs. They must have used the space lasers to just replace the solder with some alloy that cannot be melted by my tools. It's the only explanation. All right. That was a long process. And is that discoloration over there from overheating here, or is it just burnt flax? It's probably just burnt flax. It's probably just burnt flax, but we'll see once it cools down a bit. So, how long did it take? Probably half an hour just to clean those holes. This is the first that is doing this to me. And it's still this one on the left here. This one is still not clean, but it's clean enough that I can push the port through. But it's not going freely. See, like on the right side, it's moving freely. On the left side, it's just barely clean enough to push this through. I have never had an issue like this. So I'm thinking, what has changed? I'm using pretty much the same tools. Pretty much the same procedure. Well, updated by the, desoldering gun, which I thought would be much easier and quicker. I also tried the desoldering pump. Still nothing. That's weird. And I did push a lot of leaded solder into this. I guess the only way would be to use the low melt, like that 170, 180 degree melting point. That would probably be better or easier. But hey, not everything in life needs to be easy, right? Okay, let's give it some cleaning. And I want to take a break. Well, it's already 9:30. Oh my god, time flies when you're enjoying yourself talking about flat earthers. And that's obviously is a sabotage from Flat Earth community. They replaced my solder with some compound, some composite material which is really hard to melt. Makes sense, right? It's got to be a conspiracy. I've done it a few times before, never having any issues. And here I am doing this again while talking about Flat Earth first, or Flurfs, and the work is not going well. Coincidence? Well, that's how conspiracies are born. Can't be a coincidence. Yeah. Most often it is exactly that, a coincidence. I'll have to review the footage because I don't remember this discoloration being here. But I had to increase the temperature. Well, there's no way around it. Either that or I don't know. I don't know what else could I have done. Oh, it's because of the flax. Yeah, the burned flax. That's what caused the discoloration. I normally don't want to avoid using flux and hot air. Just desolder everything with temperature alone. But in this case, well, temperature alone did not work. So I had to resort to using flux, and this is pretty aggressive flux, so that's what it did. So this will be perfectly obvious that the HDMI port was replaced on this one. But it's kind of hard to do it without leaving any marks, because you do have to heat it up. They're gonna leave some signs of work, most likely. Well, the important thing is no damage to anything, right? It'll work. It'll be just fine. It's just it's gonna be visible that it has been replaced. Okay, let's take a break, because it's taking too much time. Alrighty. Now, all we have to do is put it back in place. That's our damaged board. To the collection of damaged boards. So, I think the way I'm gonna do it is like so. Okay, a little bit of flux and a little bit of solder. So what do you guys think of the flat earth theory? Well, actually, let's not call it theory. Not even hypothesis. Do you guys know anyone that is a flat earther? Or perhaps someone watching is a flat earther. If you are, definitely drop a comment. Introduce yourself. I'm definitely interested in your opinions. There, we have one pin is soldered. Okay, now maybe not perfectly soldered, but good enough. And that was expected, because I thought I was putting too much solder. So I was kind of expecting this. And my other tip, my new tip, is not really working well. So let's just do this. Alright, I think if I did more of these, I would invest in the breakout board, because it was suggested to me. but since I don't do it that much, I just rely on the meter. Okay, we good here. So let's clean it up and see and inspect the soldering. Ooh, this video's all over the place, but I didn't really have a good subject for this one. And you know, normally I do like rants when I do the procedure I've done many times. This one is the procedure that I've done just a handful of times, maybe 10 in total on different devices. What is this? Yeah, I gotta look at it through the optics. So, why did I pick the subject of Flurf? To make the video more casual. Okay? Not everything needs to be this serious. Okay, some of them are good. Some of them are far from good. I don't know if I'll be able to show you guys here, because it's different. Okay, you might be able to see something. No, we're not done yet. No, a little bit more solder. A little bit, not much. Okay, so I went a bit too much perfectionist on it, but well, it already took way too much time, so I figured, why not make it perfect? Well, we could argue about whether it's perfect or not, but it's done well. So the cup has not been removed. And the soldering is good. Like hefty amount of solder on each pin. Okay, now the loose test. But I was looking at it under the optics, so I know none of the pins are loose. But just to check, because once I put it back together, if it turns out that something doesn't work, like last time, then it's a whole procedure all over again. Although at this point I don't really care. I don't really care about the time because it already took way too long. So at this point I just want to make sure that it's gonna work nicely. Yes, the dog you're hearing, I call him Barky. His name is Arlo, but I call him Barky. A lot of distractions today. What are you gonna do? It's all because of the flat earth. It's the flat earthers that cursed this video. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But we're still gonna fix it. It's still gonna work. So the flat earth spells are not gonna stop me. They will only slow me down, which is not a big deal. Alrighty, so our port seems to be replaced. Now let's see the cleanliness. Okay, this was the hardest PS5 HDMI replacement on the whole flat earth. Not sure why, but I want to think about it because I'm guessing this one was not opened before, right? So maybe it's one of the recent units, which means there could be something different, like solder composition. It's possible. Perhaps no, the other two, actually the other three that I did for the same customer, actually they were also never opened, so they were like they came from the factory, right? So I'm thinking they changed something and now this port is a lot harder to replace because of that. Because imagine, with all these tools, I have never had this much issues, desoldering the port or cleaning the through holes. Because the port came out pretty neatly, right? There was no struggle there. But to clean the holes, it was a nightmare. With all these tools, all this experience that I have, it was still extremely hard. So I can't imagine if you're trying to do this for the first time. And before I was doing that with just a plain old simple solder sucker, manually operated solder sucker. And now even with the desoldering station, desoldering gun, it won't loose. Weird, but maybe that's what manufacturer decided to do. Which, you know, on one hand, maybe the reasoning was to make it more sturdy so it doesn't break that often, but it has never been an issue with the port, the mounting of the port to the board. I've never seen any issues there. The issue is the port itself. It just, you know, especially if you plug in the cable that is damaged, you can rip the port. And obviously, if you put it the wrong orientation, then you just kind of push the port apart and stuff. But this one was not. This didn't seem like the case where the cable was placed in the wrong orientation. Okay, whoa, look at all this dust. Alrighty. Actually, because of all this, I even forgot what my point was with all that Flurf talk and stuff. But, you know, as far as my views and opinions, when I first heard of Flurf, as I said, I approached it as a, you know, with open mind. Like, how do I know? How would I know? And it didn't take me long to, you know, realize what the shape of the Earth is. Because, well, let's face it. How much sense does it make it to you that the Earth is flat? Does it make any sense? Where is that? Here. Here. Like, everything in the universe is round, right? All the planets and stars, and, you know, because it makes sense. The gravity, you know, depends on the, well, the force depends on the mass, right? So everything just goes towards the center of gravity, right? Makes sense. That's what makes it round, right? When you blow a bubble or a balloon, it's gonna have a shape roughly of the rough shape of what do you call it? The sphere, right? Because it's gonna be pushing on the balloon in every direction uniformly. And if the balloon has a shape, that means that it's by design. Some areas of the balloon are thicker, stronger than the others, and deform differently. So the balloon has a different shape than this sphere or the ball. But if the balloon is made out of the same material uniformly, then the shape is always gonna be a sphere, a ball. It's gonna create a ball. Makes sense. And we can see the moon, right? It's the closest celestial body to our planet. We can see the sun, which is the closest star to our planet. So we can deduce a lot just from that observation, just looking around us. And the proponents of the flat Earth, the shape of a flat disk. And by the way, why disk? If it's flat, why would it have to be a disk, right? Because if it's if we assume that gravity exists and it works the way it's described, if we assume that, then it's got to be round because it uniformly works towards the center, right? But if the Earth is flat, why would it be a disk? It doesn't make sense to me. Why disk? Why not square or a triangle? Right? No, first this one. And first cleaning. But first the cables. Yeah, it's a lengthy procedure. That's what, because I would probably think of keeping the price I have right now for this, but as long as you send me the board alone, right? And I just fix the board, which means I can't really test it, but I mean I could. Yeah, if I had another PS5, which I don't. I have two PS4s. But I don't have PS5. But yeah, that would be easier if I only received the board. But since I received the whole unit, it's much more time-consuming process. But what are you gonna do? So back to the shape of the Earth. So as a flat earther, can you explain to me why the Earth is a disk? Why is it round? Let's give you that it's flat, but what dictates the shape of a disk? Why would it be round? Why would it be disk shaped? What would be the reason for that? Oh, and one more thing. There. Just so it's nicely grounded. Yes, guys. It's awesome to have theories and stuff. And I'll be the first one to admit that when I was a kid, I had wild theories about a lot of stuff. And I felt pretty strongly about them. Yes, guys, I am not immune to being to just being plain wrong or plain dumb. I know what I forget. It's kind of important, because otherwise the CPU would not be cooled properly. Which would result in terrible performance or even damage. Although, probably not damage, because CPUs are thermal throttled, so if the temperature grows too high, my CPU will just start throttling down. But the only thing that worries me here is this guy. I don't remember how to put this guy back. But I think, yeah, after, where's the big plastic part? The black. The whole oh, there it is. Okay, now I remember. Okay. So, now we can place this again. And now start with the screws. Yes, and these, the Wi-Fi antennae. I don't remember which screws, so I guess we're gonna have to measure, because some of these are required for the rest of this. So if you put screws back the wrong places, so this one over here and this one over here, and this one and this one. Okay, so I was kind of correct. So this one stays okay, this one, so this one goes. So if I did that more often, I would remember those, because I did when I had like two consecutive PS5s. I just, after the first one, when I was doing the second one, I memorized the screws. But it's been quite a few months, and now I don't remember that. But I know I can find out. Meaning, as you start assembling it, it just makes sense. And I just know what to look for. Like this one goes through the other thing. Okay, one last screw. I couldn't find where did it come from, but it's right here. Right here. There. Last one. Alrighty, we're getting close to the moment of truth. It's taking way too long, but it's all because of the Flurfers. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, don't worry, I'm not gonna be belittling you because of your beliefs. I'm gonna belittle you because you refuse to actually test your beliefs. And to be fair, science is not about believing. Science is a tool. Beliefs are not needed in any capacity. For example, I'm a believer of karma, right? It's not like typical religion, I guess. Because there's no karma churches. That we go to every Sunday or whatever day of the week. I messed something up. Yeah, I messed something up. Something's not right. See what happens? That's karma. Okay, our security screw. I don't like how it's flexing here. But it's not blocking. Anything. Is it here? Oh, there you go. I see it. I knew something wasn't right. Anyways, I'm a believer of karma. Alright, so it's not like I pray or anything like that, but I believe that if you do good things, it's better than doing bad things. And when you do good things in turn happen to you, right? If you create a, positive atmosphere, or you're overall positive person, right? Then you attract other positive people. There you go. Now it fits. You attract other positive people, and you lead a happy life. Then that's pretty much all I want. I don't really have any aspirations in life, meaning, I'm not a discoverer, I'm not a traveler. I just wanna live my Simple life. And that's it. So for that reason, there are things that I don't do, not because of the consequences, but because I believe it's bad karma. Nothing more. Nothing more, nothing less. Just bad karma. So I don't want to do it. Even if it means, you know, that I lose on some opportunities or something like that. Fine. But that works for me, because I'm a rather emotional person. I don't like having, what do you call it? Having secrets, or, I don't know. I like my conscience to be clear, right? That's how I like it. And in turn, I believe that doing so works. Doing so, you create your own kind of reality in which you are happier rather than, I don't know, rather than the opposite. And usually that's chasing money. If you just focus on chasing money, you usually have like a lot of skeletons in your closet, and that weighs on you. But that's my belief. The shape of the earth, it's not my belief. It doesn't really matter what I believe as far as the shape of the earth goes, right? It just is what it is. The question is, how do I find out what it is? Should I have to find out what it is, right? Which one's which? I think these two. Yeah, and this one is plastic. Yeah. One time I got to this point and I couldn't screw this screw in because I already put the screw on the board on that side. That's why this time I was aiming to make sure I'm not covering the wrong screw hole. Because if you do, you have to move quite a few steps back, reverse the procedure just to get that out. So it can be very time-consuming process. But anyways, back to our beliefs. As I said, you know, that some things are debatable, and I will gladly debate you on. But if you want to debate on the, you know, the shape of the earth, I don't even know how to approach such a debate. Because there's nothing to debate. We can deliberate on what evidence would convince one person or the other one way or the other, right? So yeah, we could do that. But it's not like we're gonna, you know, start a debate on the shape of the earth and then one of us is convinced from the outcome of the debate. I don't need you to be convinced one way or the other. Oh, and again, okay. Again, I forgot about this piece. It's not like it matters too much, this piece, right? The unit will work perfectly fine without it. It's just there's gonna be a little tiny hole. I hate this camera. But I can't afford any real camera. You know, professional camera. That's quite a few $100s that you gotta put into that. So I gotta live with what I have, at least for now. Maybe one day I will be able to afford one. Okay, come on, monitor. Come here. Alright. Okay, for now, let's just put it on the floor. So anyways, if you're interested in debating, as I said, I don't think I would make a good debating debate opponent. Especially since all those debates, because I listen to those, they can be very entertaining. Like, you know, spectroscopy has to be in the container. Don't ask me what that means. So they can be entertaining, but there's very little substance in them because it's only one side attacking the other side. And that's pretty much it. By attacking, I mean, you know, usually flat earthers, you know, saying that, oh, that doesn't make sense, or that doesn't align, or that whatever, you know. It's not exactly a debate. Okay. Now, the moment of truth. It clicked, or it beeped. Now, how are you gonna work? Yay! Okay. This was really long process, but oh, look at that. Yeah, it is. It is kind of a newer one. Because I don't remember this animation in the other ones I worked on. Well, let's grab a controller. It should start connecting, right? Or do I have to connect it via USB? Could be. There's only one USB, because everything's Bluetooth nowadays. Okay, it works. Oh, there's names. Sorry, I don't want to dox anyone. Yeah, but it works. Okay, we are done, gentlemen. We are done. And 8:19. Oh, the clock is all wrong. Yeah, Diego, your clock is wrong. But we got it. Okay, how do we turn it off? Preparing to turn off your PS5. Perfect. Alrighty. Guys, I hope this video was as boring to you as it was for me to perform this repair. I'm not even gonna tell you how much I charge for this because it's ridiculously low for this amount of time. But, you know, not everything in life you have to do for money. Right? Some things you do for fun. Nothing wrong with that. So this one I deem to be doing for fun. That way I don't have to complain about the amount of money I make doing this. Okay, there you go. Job is done. Now we just need to pack it up and ship it off back to California. Alrighty. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you made it to this point, which I doubt anyone would, but if you made it to this point, drop a like, maybe consider subscribing, and definitely leave a comment. Whatever's on your mind. I don't block any comments, and I appreciate every single one of them, and I read every single one of them, and I usually respond to them as well. So if you have anything to say it now or somewhere in the future. I'll see you guys in the next one.